What's going on, guys? It's your boy John the Liquidator coming back with another video, and it looked like Kevin Stafanski is in some serious, serious hot water after pretty much confirming Shedeur Sanders and other quarterbacks could be on the chopping block.
The Cleveland Browns just pulled off something nobody saw coming, and it hit harder than a blindside sack. Kevin Stafanski is getting shoved out the door faster than a fumbled snap. And the wild part is this chaos is all tied to Shedeur Sanders. Not only did he bench the kid like a busted fantasy pick, but he doubled down with a comment so wild it had fans yelling, players cracking up, and the front office stressing like their phones were about to explode.
Now, those of you guys who thought that the Cleveland Browns was going to go into this offseason with all these quarterbacks, I'm here to tell you you're wrong. Kevin Stafanski just wrapped up an interview earlier today, kind of detailing his method and pretty much what these next couple weeks may be. Now, he stated verbatim, he can't keep everybody. Now, we know Dillon Gabriel went out there and did what he did yesterday, and to me, Shedeur Sanders looked 20 to 30 times better than this young man.
What did he say? Let's just say it made Stafanski look less like a head coach and more like a walking highlight of mistakes. Somehow, Kevin Stafanski managed to do what struggling Cleveland coaches always do: take something promising, smash it to pieces, then stare at the mess like he forgot how the sport works. The Browns had talent, momentum, hype, everything lined up. And what does Stafanski decide to do? Drop Shadeur Sanders and roll with Dillon Gabriel, the living definition of, "Are you serious right now?" If this were a video game, the whole fan base would have thrown the controller and quit the second that lineup popped up.
Man, we got to talk about this quarterback situation that's going on in Cleveland, man. Kevin Stafanski had an interview today with Cleveland Browns Associated Press, and he said some very interesting things at his press conference, and a lot of people think that he's sabotaging Shedeur Sanders to big up.
Cleveland fans know pain, bad picks, ugly seasons, and quarterbacks who disappear quicker than a rideshare driver canceling on you during rain. But dropping Shedeur Sanders like he's some leftover preseason extra? That's not pain. That feels like straight sabotage. And now the fans are ready to do what Cleveland fans do louder than anybody: demand the coach's head on a platter. Stafanski isn't officially fired, not on paper, but right now in Cleveland homes, bars, and social feeds, he's getting fired over and over again.
Now we got to look at the situation differently.
Here's the thing: Shedeur Sanders wasn't just good, he was straight electric out there. He came in showing calm, sharp throws, and the type of leadership you can't coach up, the kind that just hits the field and takes over. And then you look at Dillon Gabriel, who played like he was auditioning for a comedy reel instead of running an N.F.L. huddle. The gap between them wasn't small. It was flashing in your face like neon signs screaming the truth.
I'll be honest about Shedeur. I think the plan is to destroy his stock. Not drafting him would have been too direct. Draft him to a crowded QB squad. Don't give him any reps, make up a reason to not start him, keep him on the bench, or cut him. The last thing teams want is for him to shine and make them look stupid for passing on him. The Browns owner clearly separated him.
One dude looked like the future. The other looked like he wandered onto the turf thinking it was some open gym run he could joke his way through. But Stafanski, in his classic Cleveland-style big brain moment, decided this was the perfect time to sit Sanders down like everything was fine. Why? Who even knows? Maybe he tried to overthink the whole situation. Maybe he thought Dillon Gabriel would suddenly wake up and channel Patrick Mahomes out of thin air. Instead, Gabriel turned into the guy who gets your offense punting before fans even take their second bite of a hot dog. And this disrespect towards Sanders? Fans aren't letting that slide for a second. You don't bench a player who brought spark, momentum, and real hope to the locker room.
Now, I am here to tell you guys this: predictable. I would say that.
That's like buying a brand new sports car and choosing to roll around in your grandma's rusty old minivan instead. Yeah, it moves, but trust me, nobody's impressed with that choice. Shedeur Sanders didn't deserve any of this. He played like a starter, acted like a starter, and outperformed half the quarterbacks in the league who get paid huge money to do way less. Then the kid gets injured, and suddenly Stafanski treats it like everything before that moment disappeared. No way. That's not how football works. A setback isn't a career obituary, not even close. Fans know this. They've seen Sanders make plays. They've seen him show up when the pressure hits, and they know he earned that starting spot. Brown, But Stafanski is out here treating Sanders like he's some throwaway piece, and Cleveland fans don't let that slide for a second.
And today I got Shedeur Sanders.
You disrespect a quarterback they've already embraced. And trust me, they'll make sure you hear it loud and clear. These fans don't do quiet boos. They go straight for public job termination energy. Right now, the top trending dream in Cleveland isn't a Super Bowl parade. It's firing Kevin Stafanski on the spot, and the backlash from this decision is already becoming legendary. Dillon Gabriel was supposed to be Stefanski's big gamble, the quarterback he wanted to stake his whole name on. Instead, it turned into the kind of gamble that makes someone sell their house, pawn their car, and still walk away, broke. Gabriel didn't give fans a single thing to rally behind, not one spark. Suddenly, people who never even cared about Sanders are out here chanting his name. And those chants aren't just for Shedeur, they're straight-up protests against Stafanski. Because when fans see a coach stubborn enough to ignore the obvious, they don't call it strategy, they call it pure arrogance.
Brown's really smooth and good.
And arrogance is something Cleveland cannot stand, especially after living through so many losing seasons that taught them what real humility looks like. Shadeur's injury should have been nothing more than a speed bump, not some giant roadblock. Instead of holding his spot and waiting for him to heal up, Stafanski treated it like a reason to shove him into the shadows. And that move feels flat out disrespectful. Quarterbacks come back from injuries all the time, and when they're proven talents, you don't erase their whole value over a few missed snaps. You keep their seat warm, you bring them back the right way, you let them reclaim what they earned. But Stafanski acted like Sanders got demoted to unpaid intern mode overnight, and now the entire city of Cleveland is heating up. This isn't the type of outrage that fades after a week. It's the kind that builds and explodes.
Now we will do more competitive periods than we would.
Once a fan base decides you're the problem, there's no saving you, and everyone knows it. At that point, you're coaching on borrowed time, and every decision feels like the beginning of the end. Stafanski better watch himself, because Cleveland fans aren't the patient type. They're the crew that survived the Johnny Manziel chaos, lived through winless seasons, and watched talent vanish under clueless game plans. They've hit their breaking point, and Stafanski disrespecting Sanders might have pushed them straight over the edge. Just picture the comedy of it. You've got Shadeur Sanders ready to roll, a player who brings real hope and confidence, and instead, you roll out Dillon Gabriel, who plays like throwing touchdowns might cause him trouble? It's wild. That's like choosing soggy cafeteria pizza when a full steak dinner is sitting right in front of you, waiting.
Why else would Dillon Gabriel on the Cleveland Browns roster depth chart?
It only makes sense if your mission is to make the whole fan base miserable. And the wildest part? Stafanski actually thinks this is some genius football move. In reality, he's basically writing the perfect fan petition to get himself kicked out the building. The fans don't need ownership to make the decision. They've already fired him in their hearts. Every rough Gabriel pass becomes another reason to scream, "Fire Stafanski," even louder than before. Every loss stacks up like courtroom evidence waiting for a verdict. The fans are the jury now, and they're ready to rule. They know when momentum is real, and they know when a coach rips it away. And to them, what Stafanski did is unforgivable.
Yes. And people were like, why do you say he's a circus? He's a good player. I didn't say he's not a good player. I didn't say he's a bad player. I said, your starting quarterback has to be the guy. The cameras, the lights, the action, the locker room, everybody wants that guy in the locker room with the mouthpiece in, lining up on Sundays. And if you don't, and you got a guy like Shadeur Sanders, who's in the backup position, 4th on the depth chart, and they're like, we're here to see Shedeur Sanders. Right? The media's in the locker room bypassing all the quarterbacks. They walk right past Kenny Pickett, didn't even know he was even in there, right? Walk right past Dillon Gabriel, probably didn't even see him, little. Sees Joe Flacco, goes, holy shit, Joe Flacco looks like he should be in the NBA. And then they get ready to, there's Shedeur Sanders.
He's tugging on the last nerve this fan base has left. The Browns finally had something that looked like progress, and Sanders was the spark that lit it. Then Stafanski stomped on it, grinned, and handed the keys to Dillon Gabriel like it was some master plan. Spoiler alert, it's not. It's a full-on disaster, and the fans see it clearly. They know exactly who this disaster belongs to, and that name is Kevin Stafanski, no question about it. If he doesn't fix this mess and put Sanders back where he belongs as the starter, he's finished. Finished as in out of a job, walked out of Cleveland, and replaced by literally anybody with enough sense to start their best quarterback. The Browns can't afford to fumble this moment. Shedeur Sanders is the type of quarterback who can flip a franchise's future. Dillon Gabriel is the type who makes fans grab the remote and look for something else to watch. This whole situation shows one thing loud and clear. Stafanski isn't just on the hot seat. He's sitting on a full bonfire, and the fans lit it themselves. They're not putting out a single flame until they get the lineup they want.
The Cleveland and the hype on the internet went crazy.
Once your fan base starts treating you like a joke, you're done. And honestly, who can blame them? Stafanski took a fan base that finally had cautious hope and dragged them right back into the same old disappointment they've suffered for years. They finally had real belief with Shadeur Sanders, finally had something that looked different, and instead of riding that momentum, Stafanski doubled down on Dillon Gabriel like that was somehow the winning move. That's like pulling a winning lottery ticket from your pocket and trading it for a stack of expired grocery coupons. It makes no sense to anyone watching. What hurts Browns fans the most is that Sanders earned everything he got. Nothing was handed to him. He stepped in, made the throws, took the hits, and proved he belonged on that field. And even after the injury, he was still supposed to be the guy. Injury or not, he showed enough that the only question should have been when he comes back, not if he comes back. Instead, Stafanski acted like the injury erased everything Shedeur Sanders already proved.
Hell,
Like those throws and touchdowns suddenly vanished, and that's straight disrespectful. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel was out there doing his best impression of a quarterback hiding from responsibility, and that's how low the expectations have dropped. Fans are booing before the snap because they already know the disaster coming. Stafanski hears the chants, sees the replays, knows Gabriel isn't delivering, yet he keeps sending him out like the whole city can't see the truth. That's not coaching. That's flat-out delusion. And delusion gets shut down fast in Cleveland. You can't sell people. Trust the process when the process looks like a science project that blew up in the lab. Fans are looking at the schedule, the standings, and asking one simple question: how many more games are they letting Stafanski ruin before it's time to move on? And the answer most of them have now is zero. Whatever goodwill he built, the wins, the smart calls, it's gone. What matters is he's playing with the future of the franchise, and nobody's forgiving that. Even national media is starting to jump in because the coach can't see the talent right in front of him, and it's turned into tragic comedy with Stafanski as the main act. And don't think the locker room missed any of this players' talk, and they know exactly who gives them the best chance to win. They see Sanders putting in the work, making the throws, stepping up as a real leader, while Gabriel struggles to complete anything past 10 yards, and eventually that frustration hits the whole team hard when a locker room starts losing faith in its coach. That's the moment you know the clock is officially ticking. Shedeur Sanders' injury should have been handled with patience and respect, not treated like some quiet demotion slip. Moves like that damage trust, and Sanders has to be wondering what else he's supposed to do. Play hurt, throw for 500 yards, perform miracles. At this point, nothing he does matters if Stafanski can't admit he made the wrong call. The wild part is Stafanski might be destroying his own career trying so hard to save it. He thought sticking with Gabriel was the safe move, less noise, less attention. Instead, it blew up so badly the safest option now might be him packing his office early. If he'd stuck with Sanders, even during recovery, the fans would have backed him. Instead, everyone's ready with pitchforks. The mood in Cleveland has shifted fast. The honeymoon is over, the patience is gone, and the tolerance for Stafanski's experiments hit rock bottom. Every bad choice stacks up, and benching Sanders for Gabriel is the kind of mistake you don't come back from. Once the fans turn on you, the story writes itself. And right now, the story is simple: Kevin Stafanski, the coach who disrespected Shedeur Sanders and paid the price. If Stafanski doesn't wake up soon, he won't just be remembered as the guy who benched Sanders. He'll be remembered as the coach who got himself fired for choosing Dillon Gabriel. And honestly, that's the most Cleveland ending possible. Make sure you like, subscribe, drop a comment, and share this story so you never miss the next wild twist coming your way.